Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacino. What is going on, everyone? A little rally back in a number of indices. So looks like earlier today we were having some short-term bottoming price action. By the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, especially ringing the bell, and liking or disliking the videos because it helps us get more viewers for this content. So S&P rallied back pretty nicely. Still in bearish mode on the daily. And I'm still watching for somewhat of a continued rally, then another potential leg down, unless we really get above this 4650 area. 4650 is pretty much key for me right now, and that is still a close, only on a close above that level. Let's see, let me get the exact level. 4650.75, a close above there would take us above the 62.5% harmonic retracement, which is then most likely somewhat of a follow-through pattern and would trigger still a potential aggressive short-term buy. But that's still a long way off. That's still a long way off. We have the daily rotation zone at the way. At the top of that rotation zone is right at this harmonic cluster, and the 50% retracement from this sell-off. So you have the top harmonic cluster, top of the daily rotation zone, and the 50% key level from this sell-off. So that's going to be the first key line the sand has got to get through on a short-term basis. Let's take a look at the shorter-term chart. We had this really nice double bottom today. Double bottom pattern. And interesting enough, and then the candle that triggered it came right up to the bullish line in the sand. We had a reaction. This actually didn't stop it out because of a bounce back. And then coming up, hitting the stop reduction and the first profit target right there. So that's still in play. The next target up is 45.9850. But again, you wouldn't want it dropping below technically the entry candle on this because we've already hit two key levels. The entry candle would be key, and that's the old line in the sand for bullish mode. So that 45.6250 area is key. Right now, line in the sand for bullish mode tomorrow is about 45.86. Now, as I mentioned, remember I said yesterday this was a clear path move. So we have, there's still room to run up here. Let's take a look at this on the 4-hour. Right now, the only thing is we've stopped at the end of the 4-hour rotation zone, and so far it's rotating down. So we need to work a little to get through this. But then above that, see, this is the clear path, and we're above the sort of that little one rotation before this little resistance cluster. It's now closed at it and tried to dip above, and now it's dipping back down. So it's already softened it once. So if it can get another rotation back up, I'm watching this 45.9850, essentially 4600. Then above there, it's just up at this 46.19 to 46.21 area. Because again, that cluster I just talked about, the 50% harmonics, that is also the top of the daily rotation zone. So until we get a close above there, we are still in bearish mode, which means rallies are to be taken lightly and not aggressively. There can still be bullish patterns like this double bottom, but it means also move up stops aggressively because there are still odds of a rollover and lower prices. Although this kind of price action today was really nice. You can see even on the 4-hour, there's this double bottom triggered and now running up. Also on the 4-hour, the 50-period exponential is coming in at that same area. So that same area is becoming very, very key in my book. Let's take a look at the downside, though, because we always got to manage to the downside. Let's see here. We slice through that pretty easily. Just seeing if, I guess right now I'm back down to about 4560 area, 4561. So if we roll over, this key area 4562 is key. This bar that triggered this 1 hour and 4 hour double is going to be key. We start dropping back below there. I'm just looking back for some significance. Bring down some of these levels. 4562, right around 4541 area. 4542 is my next target to the downside. Then below that, my major line of sand is getting down to, let's just see here. That's pretty good right there, around 45.15. Below 45.15, then not good. If it retraced that much, actually, if it starts dropping below 45.41, not good. So that's your downside risk levels to consider on any pullbacks. Again, it's still got to get through this 4 hour rotation zone, but this area 46.21 is going to be a strong magnet. And that just takes it still a close below there still is an bearish mode. A close above there just takes it back to bullish mode. And the weekly, let's check in with that, with this volatility. So we've come down not quite to the bottom of the weekly rotation zone, but you'd want to see at least for the week to get in again, to get into somewhat bullish mode. You'd want to get the close up, you know, above this 46.21 area. And I'm just looking at here, 46.21. You know, that would clearly close it above the weekly rotation zone again. So that is my big line in the sand. See, we have a question. Hi, welcome, welcome, Red Recon. Do you think we'll see a pullback tomorrow? I'm not planning on it. I mean, I hate predicting. Still, we have a probability to the upside based on this price action. And by tomorrow, I'm assuming you're saying the U.S. trading session, because Asia tends still to gravitate upward. Unless some really bad news comes out with this kind of, we had a nice little retest of the lows holding up with a strong rally. A little selling going into the close today, but still now holding on the 1 hour rotation zone. If you want to keep an eye on something, again, that 45.62, we start getting below there. I'm just going to start watching for potentially bigger pullbacks. Why? Because that would mean that 4 hour rotation zone has held. All right, so if we come out here and then start rotating down and getting key closes below 45.62, that would not be good. And then especially if we got that close below 45.41, that would especially not be good. Maybe I'll bump that down just a hair. Let's see, 45.41, 45.40, somewhere right in there. Other than that, it's got a slight upwards bias going into Friday. A slight upwards bias. Okay, and I'm still watching for somewhat of a bounce and then a potential re-rollover. So again, we don't have a lot of probability that the low is necessarily in yet. We have a probability a short-term low is in with it in, but not a long-term low. You are welcome. Again, we have to trade what is. And now tomorrow will be very interesting, because if we can get a close above this 46.21 area, remember that takes us back to the weekly is now dipped in the rotation zone and closed back up above. So tomorrow will be very telling. Tomorrow will be very telling. Well, if you're shorting the SPY, I mean, I can't tell you how to trade everything, but I know my definitive line in the sand would be this 46.21 area on any rallies. I wouldn't want to be holding short above there. And I'd want some rollover confirmation, especially below this 45.62. I'd want to see some rollover price action. Inside bar today also, so I mean that just makes yesterday's high and low even more so important. And remember, if a really strong rally tomorrow gets above this high from the first, we have a very aggressive short-term buy pattern, and then we'll be out of the way of the rotation zone. We'll have rotated up from the weekly and closed above the weekly, so that would at least make me, at least for the short term, become bullish for the short term and rewatch some of these tests upwards around 4,700. All right, so that is my little bit on the S&P. The NASDAQ behaving a lot weaker, a lot weaker. There was a double on this that triggered with this bar. Now it was slightly lower probability because it closed just below the 200 and then rolled over, stopped it out, and then came back up. But we see my bullish line in the sand, the 16,045, a couple times today. Just eking out a close above it, but then quick reversal. Close right at it and reversal. So this, I mean, that was a great level. I was watching to see if we could get above this level into the close. We were starting to run up there, closing right at it, and then slamming it back down. And some of the momentum stocks I was following, they just couldn't get anything going into the close. So the NASDAQ still acting weak. We had this little short-term double, which was interesting because it was just this nice little double play up at the key level, this 1645 level I put up yesterday. Key little double play coming back down, all three targets hit, and then running back up to those levels. I just love these doubles if you didn't know. They're a great pattern to learn to trade. Do they always work? No. Nothing always works, but they are consistent. Oh, by the way, we had this head and shoulders in the NASDAQ, which we've come back down. We've come back to kiss the neckline. I'm really watching to see if the NASDAQ rolls over too. If I was going to short something intraday aggressively, I'd be watching it the NASDAQ first because it's the weakest of the three. It has this big topping pattern. It's only come back to kiss the neckline goodbye. It made a lower low than yesterday. It stopped out a very reliable pattern. Couldn't get above that bullish line in the sand. And even if it rallies back up, now it would need to get a buy, it would need a close above yesterday's high, and that is a very aggressive buy. But any move above this, you see this descending line right here. This is what we call a fail-safe trend line for a head and shoulders. And any move above there stops out the head and shoulders pattern. Otherwise, that is still in play on a long-term basis. So even rallies up above this like 16,176, which is now my next key level in the sand on a continued rally above 1645. That is still keeps the longer-term bearish pattern in play. Even a rally to 16,300 keeps the bearish pattern in play if it happens within the next 2 days. And we need a close above this line, by the way, not just a move above it. So NASDAQ stays in bearish mode. Let's take a look at the line. I'm leaving the line in the sand the same. That line in the sand is saying the same, that 16,045. I could ratchet it down, but that was so strong today, I'm not going to touch it. Let's take a look at that 4 hour. 4 hour, you see just poking in that rotation zone, that 16,045, and this two candle bottoms. I'm not talking about the wicks, I'm talking about the candle body bottoms. And that's not a double bottom, that's just a reversal pattern. So we're still holding at this key level. So again, I'd want to see for bullish on the NASDAQ, I want to see a key close, at least a 4 hour close above the 16,045 in the overnight sessions, or a 1 hour close above it in the daily session. And then I'm watching the 4 hour top of the rotation zone. Right now it's at 16,150. That will continue to drop, but 16,150 to 16,176 is going to be my key resistance. And you can see we have some significance in there. We have a harmonic, and it's just above the 4 hour rotation zone. Above that, then I'm back to 16.3. And above that, I'd be watching again that entry signal for the aggressive bull trade is 16,427.50, but that needs to be on a closing basis. Weekly, so still holding above. Let me try to get still holding above the weekly rotation zone, and we didn't get anywhere near. I'm going to really be watching where this closes for the week, but keep in mind we still have that pretty bearish daily pattern on there. To the downside, let's go through that too. First, I'm going to be watching about this 15. Let's bump this down. Let's see here. Let's see, right around 15,950 area. Let's just take this down a bit. Yeah, right around there. 15,950. 15,950. Your warning sign is back below about 15,985, but 15,950 is going to be, we start getting below that, I'm shifting more to bearish mode intraday tomorrow. And then, got to adjust some of these, oops. Got to adjust some of these levels in here. I want to find the right ones. Below that, I'm just about 15,892. Then, let me see. Just taking a look here. All right, then I'm at 15,805, then 15,729. 15,805 to about 15,785 is a support zone, which was tested twice today. Did not get a close below there. And that's when the bars had stopped out the double. And then, so that would be my next key area. Then below that, about 15,729. Below that, we're looking at 15,680. And then below that, 15,570. So those are all everything that's going on with the NASDAQ. Again, that only up 0.9, where the S&P 1.7, 170 basis points, 90 basis points, and the Dow, you know, just over 2%. Just over 2%. The Dow, let's see here. This was not a decent bottoming pattern. Finally, at the end of the day, got up, right, well, mid-morning, got above the bullish line of the sand, and still holding that very, very sloppy price action, but the Dow was the strongest of the three. Let's take a look at the bigger picture of the Dow first. Bigger picture of the Dow. Coming back, major trend line, attempting to kiss it goodbye. I'll be watching that on a closing basis tomorrow. Continued rally, I'm then focusing on this 34,900 with the declining rotation zone. And above there, then I'm back to about 35, what was the high here? 35,234. A close below above 35,244 would give a very aggressive buy entry, and it's the most aggressive of them all because it's still against the daily rotation zone. So the daily rotation zone still be in bearish mode even with that aggressive buy signal. On a weekly basis, keep in mind we're still well below the rotation zone, so at least going into tomorrow, I need to close above about 34,950. You can, to be conservative, you can even say above 35,000 would give it a little wiggle room because that's going to move a bit tomorrow. But otherwise, it does stay in neutral mode longer term. So on a shorter term basis, just taking a look here, 34,700. 34,700. Above there, 34,915. Harmonic, 50% harmonic. Then above there, that's 35,177. Those levels stay the same. To the downside, just going to tweak this a bit. Let me see on that 4 hour. Going to tweak this level. Yeah, right around there. That's a good level right about. So then I'm to about 34 530 to 34 495. So my line in the sand would be about 34,495. Below there, then I'm watching for a retest of some of these key levels, and I'll just go back down to this 34 175 area, 34 150. That's my next target. Then below that, just seeing if there's some significance right around here. Nah, that's weak. That is weak. There's not a great there. That's the decent level right there. Let me pull some of this down. That level's pretty decent. So 34,050. And then below that is the retest of the lows, and then 33,765. So those are all the key levels right there. We got a question. Do you think healthy Chinese companies will have problems to comply with the SEC? Do you think they will be delisted? I think there's a strong uh, tendency to do that. I think there is a strong tendency. Okay. Kalani, Hawaii, great day in Discord today. Yes, thank you. By the way, if you're not a member, please do consider joining the Discord link in the server below. Apple, and I posted a bunch of Apple in there today. You can even see my levels still on the chart. Again, Apple gap down in the rotation zone, rotating back up. Still watching for the full gap fill. Again, here are my levels from today. With the gap from the closing price before to the low, watching for the close above the 62.5% level, which we got right here, then watching for the full gap fill. We just ran out of time in the day. Still watching for that tomorrow, but that was, something you do intraday only. So we still have that gap fill tomorrow. The negatives on Apple. We've had a very key divergence up here based off of this low 12th of November to the high on the 22nd. You can see the harmonics coming up that harmonic and rotating over with a divergence. So I'm still watching for the gap fill, but again, I am not super bullish on Apple at this point. If the Nasdaq starts running, yeah. But Apple's already put in its first warning sign of a top, and we still are disconnected from the weekly rotation zone. My upward bias going into tomorrow is still for the gap fill. And then let's take a look at that shorter term price action. It's back right at the 4-hour rotation zone. Key area I'm watching then, let me take a look at the 1 hour. We have a lot of the resistance right around this 164 level. This 164 level going into tomorrow is going to be key for me. Okay, this you see here, that little resistance shelf finally breaking through, but then resistance shelf again. That's really, I got to watch for that. Right now, we're still trading below it pre and post market. So above there, gap fill. Then right around this area, this 165.50, 165.60 would be my next target upside. And, you can do the shorter term harmonics just based off today. I'd use this pausing bar right there. And I'd be watching then about 165.52. And then above there, on a stronger run, I have to go with the 168 level, this prior harmonic. So that's about it for Apple. If I could type, XPEV, take a look. All right, dip into the 1 hour rotation zone. Again, we had this 45.23 level bouncing off that and still holding above the weekly rotation zone, closing below the daily rotation zone. So right now it's technically in neutral mode. Still if order to get to bearish mode, would have to get a close below this 45.23 area and having, you see the 4 hours starting to roll over. Your key resistance right now is 50 bucks. We had a line there before, and now you have the rolling over 4 hour rotation zone. So that would be above 50 bucks. Then your next level you're watching is about 51.10. And if you get above there, then you're above this resistance, this prior support shelf that did not hold. So that's resistance. So in order to be in bullish mode, I need a key close above 51.10 again. Other than that, your short-term targets for anything are 50 bucks, and to the downside, if you start breaking below about 46.85, I'd really watch out. I'd watch out for retests of the 45.25 area to 44.80 area, and below 44.80. Below 44.80, this I'd use your harmonics, and look at that. Look at that. So you key out 43.36 and then 41.90, 42 area with the flat 200 on the 4 hour. Let's see where that plays with the daily, and that would also take you below the 50 exponential on the daily. So my longer term daily support level, should you sell off and really break below 44.81, would be 41.90 to 42.43. But keep in mind, you get down to those levels, and you get down this 43.36 level, I'd really be focusing on that weekly rotation zone, because then you've had your breakout to the upside. You're losing momentum. You see here on a weekly basis, you're losing momentum on this last push up. It was in the vicinity. You could not get a key close above this 54.29 harmonic on a weekly basis, and you're where prior major highs were. So I'd be watching for bigger pullbacks then towards a key support level. And my major key support level then would be around 38. So that's what I see in XPeng. Anything else before I wrap this up, everyone? Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me and watching it live. Really appreciate it. Again, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and especially ringing the bell so you know when we go live. And consider, to keep this channel going, we do all these streams for free. Please consider joining the Discord or donations via Patreon or buy me a coffee. And I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.